long ago in the castle of a kingdom called Daventry.
Alexander, here you are. Oh, you're still not thinking about Cosima, are you?
I suppose I am.
Son, it's been months. You've got to pull yourself together. After all, you only met her that once.
I know.
Have you discovered anything about the land of the Green Isles?
No. No one's even heard of it. It's like she's just vanished.
I wish I could help. Please try to think about something else, dear.
I'll try, Mother.
Alexander, I feel so alone. I don't know what to do. Alexander, I wish you were here. Alexander.
Cosima! Wait! Mother! Mother, come quick!
Alexander, what on earth? You're white as a ghost.
Mother, I saw Cosima. She was in the mirror.
In the mirror? The magic mirror?
Yes! And it showed me how to find her.
How?
The stars! I saw the stars outside her window. I can navigate by the stars.
Oh, Alexander, if you really go...
It will be all right, Mother. I promise.
Prince Alexander sailed the Gnome seas and beyond. As the ship nears the shore, day turns to night and the sea turns violent. Alexander awakens to find himself on an unfamiliar beach. For a moment, he is too dazed to remember how he got here. Then he does remember. The shipwreck, the sea. Just as he had seen his men safely into the lifeboats, a gigantic wave picked him up and tossed him overboard into the churning sea. That was the last he'd seen of his crew. Debris from the shipwreck is scattered along the shore, but of the lifeboats and his men, there is thankfully no trace. He can only hope and pray that the lifeboats survived the currents, and that his men made their way safely back to Daventry. Alexander's royal insignia ring lies abandoned on the sand. It must have slipped from his finger during the shipwreck. Fortunately, it was not lost in the sea. Alexander picks up his royal insignia ring from the beach. A long plank lies on the beach. No doubt it once belonged to Alexander's ship. Alexander pushes the plank to one side. A box has been partially buried under sand. Alexander's treasure box lies partially buried in the sand. It must have washed ashore with the other ship debris. There's a copper coin in the treasure box. The coin bears the seal of Daventry and King Graham's noble face. Alexander takes the coin and leaves the ruined box where it is. Two guards take their stance in front of the castle doors. They look quite fierce and have the stiff, blank expression of soldiers on formal duty. Alexander politely addresses the odd-looking guards at the castle doors, hoping to learn more about his predicament.
Good day to you, guards. I was cast upon this island in a storm, and I'm a little confused about my location. Could you tell me what place this is and who lives in this castle?
Hey, what is that you say? A castaway? A likely story. We haven't had any foreigners in this part since Alhazred arrived.
Don't be so rude, Gruff. He's not asking for any secrets. You're standing on the Isle of the Crown, lad, and this is the Castle of the Crown. The royal family resides here. Rather, what's left of the royal family.
The Isle of the Crown. But tell me, am I anywhere near the land of the Green Isles?
This is the land of the Green Isles. The Isle of the Crown is the main island, foolish boy.
Then Princess Cassima must live in this very castle.
Aye, the princess is indeed our treasure jewel to guard, and we consider it an honor.
Excuse me, guardsmen, guard dogs. I've been traveling for months to see Princess Cassima. I would like an audience, please.
I'm sorry, but the princess is not receiving visitors, particularly not strangers.
Alexander decides to show his royal insignia ring to the Castle of the Crown guards. With all of his papers lost in the shipwreck, It is the only possible calling card he can think of.
Good day. I'm Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm an acquaintance of Princess Cassima. If you could just inform her that I'm here, please.
So everyone says. Let me just look at that ring.
What does it say, Gruff?
Kingdom of Daventry, Prince Alexander. Wait here while I go see what Captain Saladin thinks of this.
The guard returns a moment later with a majestic-looking creature. Captain Saladin speaks with a voice that is gentle, but reflects a will of iron.
Prince Alexander of Daventry, I presume. I'm afraid I'm unfamiliar with your country, but I'm sure Vizier Alhazred will want to meet you, if indeed you are a friend of the princess. Please follow me. Lord Alhazred, a visitor to see you. Prince Alexander of Daventry.
What is it that you seek, Prince Alexander?
Pardon the intrusion, my lord, but I came to see Princess Cassima. Some months ago, my father, King Graham, saved my family and I from imprisonment under an evil wizard named Mordak.
The same wizard that kidnapped the princess?
Exactly. When my father rescued us, he also liberated Cassima and sent her home.
Then your father has my gratitude, and that of the entire kingdom. But I'm afraid I still fail to see the purpose of your visit.
Well, I came to make sure that Cassima arrived safely and to pay my respects. Before we parted, she gave me an invitation to visit.
I have no doubt she did exactly that at the time, Prince Alexander. However, things have greatly changed for Cassima since her ordeal in Mordak's castle. Cassima's parents both became ill and died while she was gone. Cassima is sequestered in mourning for them as befits a princess. She is not receiving visitors of any kind. Even if she were, I do not think your visit would be appropriate. You see, it is time for Cassima to take her responsibilities seriously. With her parents gone, she no longer has the luxury to be a carefree maiden. As was her parents' wish, Cassima and I are to be wed. We shall rule the kingdom together. I assure you, our marriage is all Cassima wants now. As a prince and a gentleman, it would be best that you leave before there is any further embarrassment.
I see. I suppose that I was mistaken. I thought for certain that Cassima... Well, I apologize.
A young man sees what he wishes to see. I'm sorry you've wasted your time traveling to the land of the Green Isles. May your journey home be swift.
Perhaps I will take the opportunity to look around your fair land while I'm here.
I would advise against that. The kingdom is rather, shall we say, inhospitable these days. But it is your neck. You may risk it if you please. Captain Saladin will escort you from the castle. Good day.
You have had your hearing with Vizier Alhazred. I trust you will respect his wishes and not return. I have been instructed not to let you into the castle again. Good day, my lord.
Captain Saladin whispers something to the guard dogs at the castle gate, and they nod with understanding. Alexander has a feeling they won't be letting him into the castle again. A wooden door leads to the bookshop interior.
Hello, I will be right up. Now, what can I do for you?
Good day, sir. I'm a stranger in this land. What can you tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
That is quite a question, young man. Who are you, and what would you have me tell you?
My name is Alexander. I know I am on the Isle of the Crown, but I'd like to know whatever you can tell me about this island, and if there are other islands nearby.
You are indeed a stranger. Anxious is the man who knows not the customs of the land beneath his feet. This island is called the Isle of the Crown, because the royal family's castle is here. Besides the castle, we also have this village, and the docks over to the west. There are at least 3 other islands. The Isle of the Sacred Mountain, the Isle of the Beast, and the Isle of Wonder.
At least 3? Does no one know for certain?
This is no ordinary land, Alexander. The land of the Green Isles has always been a place of vague boundaries, as if islands come and go. Legend speaks of a 4th island, an isle shrouded in mists. I myself have never seen it. Then, too, the land of the Green Isles is said to exist on the boundaries of this world and the next. Even darker places are reputed to be closer here than anywhere else in the world.
That's quite a claim.
Claim, yes, but probably just local superstition. We who live here on the Isle of the Crown, at least, sleep well enough at night.
Those first 3 islands you mentioned, how might I learn more about them?
Ideally, a young man seeking such knowledge would travel to their shores and learn about them firsthand. Meeting the leaders of each place would be helpful, naturally. Unfortunately, the ferry no longer runs between the islands. There has been much political unrest, and it has been too dangerous to travel for years. Perhaps the ferryman can tell you more. He has little enough to do these days, and if you haven't been there already, you might seek an audience at the castle.
Thank you kindly, merchant, for all your good advice.
Ah, but advice is free, Alexander. Making use of it costs much more.
There's a small table near the door that bears a sign. The sign has undergone a number of changes. It once read 10 pence, but that was crossed out and replaced with 5 pence, then 1 pence, then free. The sign currently reads, "Take one, please." Only 1 book remains on the table. It looks like the bookshop owner really wants to get rid of that book. Alexander picks up the book from the small table.
Oh yes, please take that book. You have my most humble thanks for doing so, good sir.
Really? Thanks.
These shelves hold a collection of volumes of poetry. Thinking of Cosima, Alexander decides to leaf through one of the volumes of love poetry. He reads, "Thy hair, thy lips, thy beauteous face, and all thy studied female grace have won for thee anon a place within this broken breast." Not bad. And another. "Upon the shore the lilies bend, untouched by worldly care, where shadow they her earthly bed, oh, that she were not there." Yikes! And another. "What was it when I looked at you? What power has chained me through and through, and binds my heart with links so tight, I cannot live without the sight of you? What nameless thing has captured me, and made me powerless to flee. What thing is it without a name that brings my mind e'er back the same to thee? The name of love cannot apply. Its commonness does not decry the haunted, hunted, painful cry that my heart makes for you, that e'er my soul eternal makes for you.
A little close to home, that one.
Alexander returns the love poem book to the shelf. A page has fallen from the poem book and now lies on the floor. Alexander picks up the fallen page. It's the love poem he particularly liked. It must have fallen out of the poetry book.
I see that old volume has lost another page. You may keep it if you like, sir. I have glued the stubborn thing back in place 2 times already.
I do rather like it. Thank you, merchant.
An antique leather-bound book is displayed on a little stand on the counter. On the elaborate cover is the title, Ye Useful Book of Magic Spells.
How much for that book on the counter, merchant?
It is a fine book, is it not? I obtained it from the estate of the one and only magician this kingdom has ever had. Poofed himself into an aardvark in the end, or so I heard. I never found the spells all that useful myself, but then I lead a boring life. I tell you what, if you can find another rare book, something a bit more marketable, I might be willing to exchange the spell book for it.
Hey, stranger, come join me. The water is wonderful, and I can show you the way to the next island.
Considering the poor condition of the shore, the powerful currents grab Alexander. Struggle as he might, he feels himself being pulled out to sea.
Not a very good swimmer, are you?
Help me!
Sorry, I think not.
As his head submerges for the 3rd time, Alexander finds himself pondering the wisdom of going out on a limb for a stranger.
Tickets up. Next.
Alexander couldn't handle those currents. That boy must be an unbelievably strong swimmer. Alexander couldn't... A wooden door leads to the interior of the boat's cabin.
Come on, jump in. A little water won't hurt you.
That's strange. The young boy in the water just disappeared. Oh well, perhaps he just dove under the water.
Yeah, what do you want?
Excuse me, my name is Alexander. The owner of the bookshop in the village told me you might be able to help me. I hear you used to run this ferry for the islands. I'd like to talk to you if you have a moment.
You say old Allie sent you? I can't see why. The ferry's not running, you know.
I understand. I'd just like to talk to you about the islands if you don't mind.
Well, I guess it'd be all right if Allie sent you.
Well, don't just stand there. Come on inside. What is it you wanted to talk about, young man?
I'm a visitor to these islands. I'd like to learn what I can about the area.
So you said outside. What is it you want to know?
Well, for one thing, why has the island's only ferry been dry docked?
It just ain't safe to sail these days. What with the islands feuding and all. Wazir Al-Hazred ordered the ferry closed till things settled down. Me, I don't think she'll ever see water again.
But why are the islands feuding?
You got me. Something about stolen property or some such thing. 'Tis a real shame. Things used to be so friendly.
Then this unrest is recent.
A few years is all, but it's been long enough.
Perhaps if the ferry were repaired.
This old thing? This ferry's been out of water so long she's no longer even seaworthy. Her boards have dry rot. She'd fall apart at the first taste of seawater.
But there must be some way to get off this island.
There's only one other way to travel that I know of. A magic map. The owner of the pawn shop can tell you more about that than I can, Alexander.
Tell me more about the ferry.
I remember when I used to ferry Queen Ilaria and Princess Cassima themselves. There was no thought of danger back then. They used to go visiting to care for the needy and to keep up the friendly relations between the islands. I remember their last trip. Things had started getting nasty by then, and when they came back aboard, I gathered that the Queen and the Princess had been received a bit coldly. Princess Cassima was such a pretty thing, and she was terribly upset. But who could be spreading these lies, she asked the Queen, but the Queen had no answer.
What do you do now that the ferry no longer operates?
Me? I'm out of a job. The job my ancestors have held for generations. I'm the only one trained to avoid the reef and the rocks. But that knowledge does me no good now.
Is there no other boat on the island? One that might be more seaworthy?
Boats don't last long on these shoals, as you may have found out if you got here by ship. You can be quite sure that this old ferry is, or was, the only craft on the island.
Tell me more about Princess Cassima.
Ah, such a beautiful child, and so pure of heart. Why, a contrary thought has never crossed her mind. Her mother was the same. The king and queen, they served the islands, not the other way around, always thinking about the people. Ah, they are sorely missed.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder's a lovely spot. A bit crazy, mind you. Gotta have a good sense of humor to enjoy a tour there.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Isle of the Beast is pretty, but unfortunately, you can't get very far onto the island.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The inhabitants of the Isle of the Sacred Mountain are the most gorgeous creatures you'll ever see. If you ever get to see them, that is.
What else can you tell me about the land?
The Castle of the Crown sure is a beauty. She's the finest palace ever built, I'll warrant.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Some say that the land of the Green Isles is near the edge of the world, and that the deadly currents are a result of a magnetism that sucks life from this world to the next. Of course, that's just silly talk.
What else can you tell me about the land?
Let's see. The Isle of Wonder.
There's a rabbit's foot on the table. It seems the ferryman is counting on a little luck.
I see you have a rabbit's foot. Has it brought you much luck?
As you can see, my luck's been out for some time now, despite that old charm. Why don't you take it with you? Perhaps giving the darn thing away will bring me good fortune at last.
Perhaps it will at that. Thank you. Well, I think I'll be going now. Thanks for allowing me into your home.
Posh, not at all. It breaks the boredom, if you know what I mean.
The currents around the island pull Alexander under. As Alexander struggles to the surface for the third and last time, he finds himself wishing he'd paid more attention to the warning signs of an undertow.
Tickets. Oh. Next.
Nothing like getting swept off your...
Good day again. How may I help you?
An odd-looking man is reading in the stuffed chair. He wears a vest, balloon-style pants, and pointed shoes. There's something deliberately silly about the man, as though he were a performer of some sort.
Good day, sir. Is there anything you can tell me about the land of the Green Isles?
I'm sorry, but I have no time for idle conversation. I'm too worried about the princess.
Determined to learn more about the strange man's relationship with the princess, Alexander shows the man his insignia ring and formally introduces himself.
I'm sorry to insist, but my name is Alexander of Daventry, and...
I appreciate the offer of the ring, Alexander, but I'm afraid I'm already spoken. Daventry? Where have I heard of Daventry? Flying flint mice. You must be Prince Alexander. Cosima told me about you when she arrived home. How came you here?
Why, by a ship now wrecked upon the sand. But you know Cosima? She truly spoke of me?
Yes, I saw her briefly when she first returned home. She mentioned a prince to me, Prince Alexander of Daventry. I'm afraid that was before she was told about her parents' deaths. You see, she arrived home a few weeks too late. The king and queen thought they'd never see her again. It is said they died of heartbreak. I'm afraid she's blamed herself.
What a terrible homecoming. If we had only known.
Terrible indeed, poor thing. Everyone in the kingdom seems to despair with her these days. The streets are silent.
Where is she now?
The princess is sequestered in mourning. It's a rather dated tradition, and not required, but the Wazir says she insisted out of respect.
I see. You've yet to say who you are, and how you know the princess.
I? Oh, pardon me. My name is Jalo. I am clown to the royal court, and have been since the marriage of Cosima's parents, King Caliphon and Queen Alaria. Oh, those were the happy days. The pair of them were so full of joy and life, so in love. And Cosima's birth. It would be hard to explain how long they had waited, how they had hoped for a child. I mean, she was such a charming little thing, smart as a whip, kind and sweet. Oh, she means everything to this kingdom, Alexander, and to me. I'm so terribly worried about her.
About her grief over her parents, you mean?
Well, the truth is, I do not trust the Wazir or his plans for Cosima. I'm still living at the Castle of the Crown as court clown, his clown. But it is more to keep my ear to the ground than out of loyalty. I wish I knew what the princess thinks these days. If only I could find Sing Sing, Cosima's pet nightingale. I might be able to send the princess a message. As it is, I must wait for the end of her seclusion. Now I'm afraid I must hurry back to the castle. I'll try to return to the bookshop again later.
Thank you for speaking with me, Jalo. I hope we meet again soon.
A wooden door leads to the pawn shop interior.
Good day.
An elegant little glass dish decorates the countertop. The dish is full of green mints offered for the enjoyment of the customer. Alexander takes a mint. The pawn shop owner is a mysterious fellow. His face is old and inscrutable, and there's a glint of sheer iron in his gaze. Still, Alexander senses this is someone he can trust.
Excuse me, merchant, but the ferryman mentioned that you might have a magic map of the land of the Green Isles.
Why, as a matter of fact, I do. I keep it under the counter. It's been gathering dust so long that I nearly forgot about it. It was quite a few years ago, you see. The estate of a wealthy wizard fell into my hands when he died. It was useless magical junk mostly, which reminds me, I've still got some things of his in the back that I need to dump out. Anyway, the magic map was the one true treasure in the lot. The wizard was quite old and feeble and had enchanted the map to aid in traveling. It is said that one need only desire to be on an island depicted on the map to find oneself there. It is a very valuable map, as you can imagine. Unfortunately, no one is interested in traveling these days. It is far too dangerous with the current state of the kingdom.
What would you take for the map?
I would normally want something magic in return, but since I am hardly overrun with prospective buyers, I would be willing to take anything of equal value in exchange.
Would you be willing to take my family ring in exchange for the magic map?
Daventry, are you a king then?
No, that's my father, King Graham. I'm just Alexander.
Well, Prince Alex, she is a beautiful ring. Are you sure you can part with such a unique family heirloom?
The ring does mean a lot to me. I didn't always have a family, you know. Still, it is only gold. There are more important things at stake now.
Then you now own a magic map, Prince Alex. I will keep your ring out of sight for a few days. If you find anything else of great value in your travels, you can come back for your ring. I would hate to see it melted down for gold. Ah, and a warning about the map. It will only operate when you are out in the open and within sight of the sea. The limitation has something to do with the teleport spell ingredients. You might try the beach.
Thank you. You are very kind, and I'll remember about the map.
Suddenly, the old man in the concealing cloak sneaks past Alexander, and with a sneaky dart of his hand, steals a mint from the candy jar. The old man stuffs the mint into his mouth and wobbles unsteadily out of the pawn shop.
Master! I followed Prince Alexander as you wished from the pawn shop owner. He just abstained, just reprieved. He just got a magic map. You fool! You've been eating those mints again. I ordered you to stop that. Yes, Master. Now, what is this about a magic map? With a map, Prince Alexander could travel anywhere as quickly as I can. I thought I took care of the only means of travel. By my scimitar, I can't have him stirring things up now. Get a hold of yourself and listen carefully, Shamir. Go to the other islands and tell them...
I have this copper coin. Is it of any value to you at all?
Most interesting. I have never seen a Daventry coin before, but it is copper genuine enough. I might even find a buyer who is interested in foreign currency. The items on the front counter are the only things in the store that I can let go for the price of 1 copper. You may make your choice from there.
Alexander looks at the items on the counter to make his selection.
I see you have noticed my mechanical nightingale. She is made of plain tin, but she sings the sweetest song you can imagine, barely distinguishable from the real thing.
That mechanical nightingale looks intriguing. I believe I'll take it.
Very well. Your coin is well spent. Remember, this is a pawn shop. I am always willing to take back my own goods in trade.
I'll remember. Thank you.
A large round pot is one of the pottery pieces on display outside the shops. Alexander sorts through the odds and ends that the pawn shop owner dumped into the pot. Magic exploding gum wrappers, a shattered crystal ball, a cracked wand, a fake thumb. Near the bottom, Alexander finds a little glass bottle labeled ink. It appears to be empty, but Alexander decides to take it anyway. You never know when a small bottle will come in handy. Alexander pulls out his magic map. A large island named the Isle of the Sacred Mountain dominates the north of the Land of the Green Isles. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander picks the flower and is startled by its hideously strong skunk-like odor. For a moment he can smell nothing else. Alexander pulls out his magic map. According to the magic map, the Isle of Wonder is a comma-shaped island poised in the sea to the west. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. A string of letters floats in the water. The letters spell out, "Where are you going?" Alexander's heard of alphabet soup, but this is ridiculous. Alexander doesn't... Alexander... Alexander... The ocean currents tug. Alexander picks up the object floating in the water. It appears to be a string of letters. They say, "Where are you going?" Alexander decides to keep the odd sentence, even though it is incomplete. One of the oysters is sitting up in bed and doesn't look very happy. He seems to be the only one who can't sleep. In the oyster's mouth, Alexander can see a glint of white.
Why aren't you asleep like the other oysters?
Oh, I'm so weary, but I can't sleep. I have a terrible ache in my mouth.
If you're having trouble sleeping, perhaps you'd like me to read to you.
Hey, that would be great.
2 dulcimers raised to the degree of 40 half-dulcimers, divided into equal parts by the third of a cackle of grouse geese, put over the result of 10 fine mackles, albeit small fine mackles, stretched over the total of 53 1/8 bottles of wild beast lard. Yields a gilded minnow of precise measurements, 2,069.
Alexander makes a grab for the pearl.
Hey, you fixed my mouth. It feels great.
Ah, the little oyster drifts into peaceful slumber with the rest of his oyster friends. Alexander hears someone coming.
"5 fierce guards of the isle we be. Watch for a foreign band," said he, "with ears and nose, tongue, hands, and eyes. Its nature cannot be disguised. If mad it be, then mad it dies. Old Tom Troll, smell your smell. Do that which you do so well."
Alexander...
"My nose cannot be tricked that way. The smell of man still rules the day. A man, so say our nose, into the waiting sea he goes."
The gnomes toss Alexander too far out into the sea for him to get his footing. The currents drag him under.
Tickets up. Next.
Guess those gnomes couldn't reach a consensus. Alexander holds the flower of stench out to the gnome with the jumbo nose.
Tom Trow I am, that's all I'll be. My nose knows all on land and sea. A flower of stench has washed ashore. A flower 'tis all, and nothing more. Listen, hark you, Grovelor, do your duty as you swore. With your ears, please tell us more.
Alexander winds the tin nightingale and plays it for the gnome with the monumental ears.
A nose is not a way to spy. My ears cannot be told a lie. A nightingale is all there be. No man is near, and so say me. Taste, Grump, that we might know whether friend or whether foe.
Alexander holds the mint out for the gnome with the gigantic mouth.
Grump knows a tasty treat. It matters not what others bleat. No danger is this one so sweet. Trilly dilly, use your hands. Is it beast or is it man?
Alexander holds the rabbit foot out for the gnome with the huge hands.
Be all you mad? What aileth thee? A bunny can't trill merrily. A hare does not at all taste sweet. A rabbit here is all we greet. Old Bill Batter, never fatter. Vision can resolve this matter. Look you now and end this chatter.
Alexander pours the contents of the empty-looking ink bottle over himself.
By all that's beauteous, fair, and sightly, 4 morons do I sleep with nightly. There's nothing there at all, I say. Enough of this. Let's now away.
Alexander did it! He's fooled the guards! Piles of stacked books, looking ready to topple at any moment, have been arranged haphazardly on the sandy ground.
What do you think you're doing?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize these books had an owner. I'm in need of a rare book.
No owner? All books have owners, my good man. And this book owner, bookworm to you, wouldn't part with one of his books for anything.
Isn't there something I can do for you to pay for the book?
Let's see. Do you have an itinerant clause?
No. No clauses at all, I'm afraid.
As an exception, you always should.
Don't mind oxymoron and diphthong. They're fairly limited grammatical principles, you know. Let's see. A marsh pig that does Texas?
No. I'm afraid not.
A dangling participle?
I'm fresh out.
A purple fiddle whacker?
No, I don't think so. Sorry.
An idiosyncrasy, perhaps?
Afraid not.
Ha! Then what good are you?
The swampy bog sinks beneath Alexander's weight. He feels himself being sucked slowly but firmly down into the muck. As the marshy water fills Alexander's mouth, he thinks that although he'd always wanted to try a mud bath, this is hardly what he had in mind.
Tickets. Oh. Next.
Do you ever get that sinking feeling? Is that lettuce growing in the garden? It looks a little chilled. Why, it must be iceberg lettuce. Alexander picks a head of iceberg lettuce.
Ye gads! Is that cold?
Alexander pulls out his magic map. There's a small island labeled Isle of the Beast. Alexander feels a strange pulling sensation. Alexander decides to brave the boiling pond. And soon realizes a deep sympathy for soup vegetables as he learns the true meaning of being in a stew.
Tickets. Oh. Next.
It looks like Alexander's in a bit of a stew. Hoping to cool down the boiling pond, Alexander throws in a head of iceberg lettuce. The pond's water slowly stops boiling, cooled by the ice. It still looks hot, but bearable. An old abandoned hunter's lamp is hanging on one of the trees. Alexander wonders who might have hunted in these dense woods. Alexander decides to brave the steaming pond.
Ouch! Ow! Ooh, 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 ouch!
The pond is no longer boiling, but it's hardly bathwater. Alexander takes the old hunter's lamp from the tree. Taking off your adventurer's cap so soon?